We're still talking about your voice. One of the things I realized within my personal, in myself, is that I found myself waiting for permission from people when God had already given me the permission. We're still talking about voice, right? And like I said, your voice is not just always audible. It's not just what you say. As we talked about in my last video, it's the things that you don't say and don't speak up for yourself. It is the things that you internalize, the thoughts that you internalize that become your voice and your pattern and your actions and your way of thinking. So your voice encompasses a lot. And it encompasses, and in your voice is like a movie reel, a silent movie. Back in the day, they used to have these, movies were silent before they figured out how to add voice and stuff. And you would have to watch the film and, see everything happen rapidly. And within us, that's the way our voice is. And when I say that I would wait on permission from people when God had already given me the go ahead, I would have thoughts and I would have ideas, and then I would bounce them off people. And depending on how the person responded would determine whether I would pursue it or not. Never thinking and realizing that God is the creator. That's who gave me the idea. And if he gave it to me, it was definitely something I could do. Do you know how many things I have not done for myself? How many things I have waited and hoped? And the thing about it is that even when people say they like it and that they support it, you can't count on that. I did a whole video about and I have two different YouTubes. I have Candid with Kim, and I have the Queen Bee of Doing Business Better. And I talked about how if you start something, you have to know within you that what you're doing is important and that you see it through. Because people might see it for a minute. The first time there's a sign of trouble, they're out the door. And anything that you're building, it's not going to take off right away. And that's the problem. We're so used to overnight sensations, or what we deem as overnight. There's not anybody that hasn't put in the work. They put in the work, we just don't see it. And because we don't see it, by the time it's like I didn't know them, and then today I know them, we assume that it's overnight. We don't know how many failed attempts they've had. We don't know how many times they've been told no. We know nothing. And generally, when people are on their way up, we don't listen to them. They're not important to us until they get to where they're going. Likewise, with my voice, I used to wait. I had so many ideas, and some of my ideas that I would say to myself, I was like, this is so beyond me. This could really take me to another level. And when people didn't see it, I would go, wait a minute, am I crazy? What am I missing? What are they not telling me? I was so concerned about maybe they knew something. And what I didn't realize was that, number one, they may not be a visionary. Number two, it wasn't their vision. God gave it to me. So it was for me to execute and to believe him to do. So I spend a lot of time giving my voice away to people. And then sometimes I actually watch people take my idea, share it with somebody that they thought could execute it. Oh, that's when they start to hit. Like, Kim, shut your mouth. Oh my gosh, I'm not even going to get into an example because I don't know who will see what. But just know there were times that I would speak things, and then when I learned to be silent, there would be people on my team, in my camp, in my house that didn't know. And I had to teach them, shut it up, because I have watched my ideas be executed by somebody else. So your voice is powerful. Within you, there's so many things. There's your purpose. And what you have to do is you got to use your voice often. And I always tell people this, and I always say it in the videos. Talk to yourself. Say it out loud. You never know how something sounds really until you say it out loud. So say it out loud. And then you'll hear it, and you'll be able to step on the other side and evaluate it, make sure it makes sense. And then using that voice and evaluating yourself, you will find out and be able to Weed out people who are really for you and people who are not. And that will help you decide to whom you share things and to whom you do not. There are so many people that are hurting and they don't know who to share things with and who not to. And they're so confused and so in the middle of it that they can't see what's really going on. Because if you really look, if you step all the way back, you can see the people who really have your back no matter what, versus those who are only there as long as everything is working in their favor. But it begins by you listening to your own voice. That's why the talking out loud matters. If you don't care enough to listen to you, you can't expect other people to listen to you as well. We're still talking about being victoriously outspoken, initiating corrective environments. And that first corrective environment lies within you. You've got to speak life back into yourself. You know, you hear the preacher say it all the time. What did David do? David got to a point, even after he had led the people through many victories. They get back to Ziklag and find out that everybody, that their wives and their children, they've been out fighting to protect them, and they left them at home and they came back and they were gone. And even the men who came back with David after the victory, once they realized that their children and their wives were gone, they were ready to stone David. And the Bible tells us that David did what? He encouraged himself. And that's what you have to do. That's why you've got to get familiar with your voice that God gives you. And you've got to talk to yourself so that you can hear. Because when you're talking, it's not even just you. It's no one there but you and God. And that's the purest time to hear his voice and to learn his voice and the voice he's gifted you. We all have one. And you cannot afford to give your voice away. So take time, talk to you, hone in on your own voice so that you can start to hear God's voice, and that way you can thrive in 2025. You cannot do it of your own, because the Bible tells us too that, lean not into your own thoughts. We can always be, thrown off or drawn away by our own thoughts, because some of the things that we think scare us. That's why I say, if you say it out loud, you learn things about you that you wouldn't even know. And it's important to be fully aware of who you are, so that as you move forward, you can tell the difference between you and other people influencing you. You can tell if the influence is positive or if the influence is negative. Candid with Kim, we're still talking about developing that voice.